Think about this. Think about how different this duel could have been coming into this year, Iowa versus Oklahoma State. You look at last season, Oklahoma State has, certainly a down performance, falling outside the top 15, and it was an alarming finish for the Cowboys. And they have wound up, I think, hands down, other than Penn State, which is the caveat for most wrestling discussions, Oklahoma State's kind of been the story this year, right? Because even though we knew they got some transfers, right? They got Spratley, they got Olenek, they got Jamison. No one was saying, okay, now they're ready to be number 2 in the country, right? But they've come and they've been pretty much start to finish all year long really tough. They had a tougher Vegas, but no Dayton in that one. They're missing another starter, I believe, as well. And so now we're coming into Iowa versus Oklahoma State week, and this duel, if you think about last March, we're thinking about this is going to be a bloodbath for Iowa. Well, Iowa loses Cassiope to suspension, loses Nelson Brands, Abe Assad to suspension. And then they bring in some transfers. And now we're late February, and this looks like it could be another classic. And this rivalry is insane. The intensity is incredible. I've been to a few of these over the years, and every single time it's been absolutely thrilling. And it's going to go down in Stillwater, Oklahoma this Sunday. And so the question is, there's a lot, but who's going to win? Who's the favorite? And I've gone back and forth a little bit on this matchup. On the one hand, for Oklahoma State, and the reason my initial gut was Oklahoma State's going to win this duel is this. Well, what weights do either teams have a clear favorite? A clear favorite. And in my opinion, Oklahoma State has the only 2 clear favorites, Dayton Fix at 133 and Dustin Plott at 184. And there's 1,000 different caveats and combinations here. So 184, Dustin Plott is a huge favorite over Aiden Riggins. But what if they wrestle Gabe Arnold? Gabe Arnold's in the probables. I think we probably will see Gabe Arnold in this match. Okay, well then Plott goes from a decided favorite to a favorite, slight favorite, but that's a really competitive match. And then you could say Real Woods is a massive favorite over Tag and Jamison, but you look at Real the last couple matches, and you kind of throw out Wisconsin because that guy's, let's face it, he's not anyone in contention for even qualifying for NCAAs. What we saw against Sergio Limley, Tag and Jamison, you could theorize that that's going to be a close match. I feel like most of the matchups, though, and why it kind of swung back, this could be Iowa's duel, is Drake Ayala versus Troy Spratley. Right, slight favorite for Drake. Drake has a couple common opponent victories over Troy Spratley. 33, they're obviously, Dayton's a big favorite there. 41, you would have, beginning of the year, you would have been laughed at to think Tag and Jamison had a shot here. But the way Real has looked, which I think is largely more of a health situation. I don't know how 100% healthy he is. I don't know if there's an injury or what's going on there. That would be my guess. But I think he doesn't look like the same guy that he looked last year and like he looked earlier this year. So I think that's more of a toss-up than people are maybe even giving it credit for. 49 is really interesting because you got Rachi for Iowa, who has really been a surprise and has done a great job for the Hawks at 49 this year, and it was a surprise starter for sure when they transferred in Voinovich. But then the question is, who does Oklahoma State throw out there? Because they have 2 really solid options that are very different. And who do you think matches up better against Rachi? You got Jordan Williams, who's really good on his feet, neutral. He's great with quick attacks and scores. Or Sammy Alvarez, who's the ultimate funky counter scrambler guy. I don't know who the better matchup will be against Caleb. I wouldn't be surprised if they used either guy. It's Ben Williams of late, so he would be my guess. But if they threw Sammy Alvarez out there as a curveball and get this really high-level scrambler out there, that could present some problems for Caleb Rachi, and I don't think that would be the worst decision. Teague Travis has been really good this year at 157, another surprise. Now, Teague Travis wasn't a totally unheralded recruit coming out of high school, but he's not someone that we would think could get in the top 10 and be beating All-Americans this year. Well, he has. And Jared Franik's been good this year, but he's got some losses as well. He's been a little tighter in some of his matches. I think this is more of a coin flip. Though, once again, I'll say edge Iowa here. Edge Iowa at 25. Edge Iowa 41. Edge at 57. But it's slight. And Oklahoma State's rolling. And it's at Stillwater. These are all factors that I think you have to consider. And then you go to 65. Olenek can win. Caliendo should win. Caliendo should be the favorite. He won 7-2 last year. But another caveat. There's 1,000 caveats in this duel. Olenek has clearly jumped levels from a year ago. A year ago, he was a shocking AA. He surprised us all when he beat Carson Hartzler and ended up placing. But he made jumps this year. One CKLV, a loaded CKLV that had David Carr, that had Julian Ramirez, that had Cam Amin. He won it, right? And he beat Dean Hamady this year. So you can say, all right, well, maybe there's something in the matchup there with Caliendo and Olenek. But at the same time, it's sort of obvious that Isaac is wrestling better than he ever has and better than he was last year. So while I still think a 7-2 margin of victory a year ago is notable, I don't think you just throw that result out. I think it's going to be tighter. It's going to be a tighter match. But you still probably go edge Caliendo there, right? Braden Thompson, true freshman. He had a tough loss last week against Tate Piccolo of Oklahoma, someone he had beaten soundly earlier in the year. He's going to have Patrick Kennedy. Braden's got maybe a size advantage there, as we know Kennedy's probably naturally a 65-pounder. He's certified to 57 this year. But Kennedy's looked really good the last month or two. He's beaten some good guys. He beat Edmund Roos. So it's another one that's certainly in the balance. But probably on paper, you look at the matchups, you look at the common opponents, and you say, all right, probably edge Kennedy here as well. 84, what is Iowa going to do? Who do they throw out there? You know, do they continue with Aiden Riggins, or do they use Gabe Arnold again? They used Gabe Arnold last week against Wisconsin. Now, they didn't need him to win the duel, but he has 2 dates left. He had 2 dates then. Now he has 1. So he can use this Dustin Plott match. And could this be, and here's why this is so interesting. If he beats, and Ben Askren said this on the show, if he beats Dustin Plott, you got to use him. That's what Ben thinks. You should use him. I think you should use him regardless. Dustin Plott might be the second best guy in the country, right? So if you're competitive with him, it would stand to reason, 1, maybe you could beat him at NCAAs. 2, maybe you're a top 5 guy. I think that highly of Gabe Arnold, that I think he could place at 184 pounds, which is not his ideal weight. He says he's a 74-pounder. Well, he may be, but he continues to beat solid 84-pounders. He's beaten an All-American at 184, right? So I think we may see him. I think if for Iowa's sake, I think they need him. I don't think you can cede 184 to the Cowboys, because this matchup, I mean, as I've described these first couple weights, it could be chaos a lot of different directions. I mean, who thought that Nick Piccinini was going to pin Spencer Lee when they wrestled in 2019? Certainly not me. And that was, for my money, not to go on a tangent, but that was, and I've been just really lucky to have been in a lot of insane wrestling environments and atmospheres. But I've never felt heat, never felt energy, loudness, excitement like I did in that duel and for that pitch Spencer. It was just an all-time moment for me, just like, what is happening? This is insane. Unbelievable upset. Anyway, things like that can happen in this rivalry. And Oklahoma State's rolling, and they want to get back. This would be a statement win for them to, you know, say, hey, we didn't just beat Missouri soundly. We didn't just beat this team soundly. We can beat Iowa. Because this team race is going to be insane. And I think the biggest mistake you can probably make right now is really feeling strongly about who could get second. Because the variance, one guy goes from 9th rank to placing 6th is enough to put you in trophy contention. Or one guy ranked 5th not placing, which we see every single year, can take a team from the trophy to outside the top 5, right? So even no matter the result of this dual meet, the team result, you're not going to really get that much information on which team is actually better come tournament time, because it's going to come down to that tournament that day, right? which I know is a lame cliche, but it's really true this time. It's really the case with this team race. Anyway, tangent. 97 Serber versus Glazier coming into this year. This is another one. You're like, if you'd have said, well, who would win that match? If you asked me in October 31st, I would say Serber. And this is not even really, why are you asking me this? This is not even a relevant question based on what Zach Glazier has done and what Luke Serber has done. That just shows how much can change in a little bit of time in the sport of wrestling. Meanwhile, Zach Glazier has gone on to win the Soldier Salute. He beat Big Ten champion Silas Allred. Oh, by the way, he didn't just beat him, he majored him. And his only loss on the season is to Aaron Brooks, who is maybe the second best wrestler in the world. So, and it was a decision, and Aaron Brooks didn't try to take him down. He got one counter takedown. So you got to kind of come to terms with Zach Glazier being really high-level 197-pounder. And conversely, Luke has had sort of mixed results, but more importantly, he's missed a lot of time with injury. And so he's going to be coming in. This is a big match for him. He's going to be fighting for that allocation in that spot, and I think he's so good, and he's so good in the counter game that he's going to qualify, and I think he's a candidate to place this year. But it's not been the season he's looked for, just from a health perspective, to be honest. But where this match is going to be interesting is in the exchanges. Glazier is extremely good positionally, hand fighter, but can he scramble with Luke Serber? If he fires a leg attack, Luke is one of the best leg passers at the weight class. He's one of the best counter scramblers in the weight class. Just ask Rocky Elam. That was Luke's signature win a year ago. He took out Rocky Elam in a really crazy match, and he beat him with his counter wrestling ability. And I wouldn't be surprised if he could do that here. And then you come to heavyweight, where it's Connor Doucette versus who? Is it going to be Bradley Hill, or is it going to be Ben Keeter? Ben Keeter's in the probables, as is Bradley Hill. Now, I'm on the record that I think you use Keeter this year, if he's your best guy. I think there's maybe a little bit of anecdotal, maybe it's a little bit of guesswork, but I think he might be their best guy. Now, he's only wrestled 3 matches. He's 2-1, so there's not a lot of data we're going on. I'm just going by the fact that he was the man in high school. He's a world champion, age-level world champion, that can't be discarded or just thrown out. That level of talent, and that he's that high caliber of a wrestler. So you factor all that in, and it's like, well, he might be the guy. And so the question is, now Connor Doucette's had an amazing year relative to, once again, expectations coming in. Connor Doucette, who qualify, right? That's kind of what we thought. Well, this year happens, and Connor Doucette is clearly an All-American contender. And someone now, he had a tough loss last week against Heinzelman of Oklahoma. But that doesn't erase what he's been able to do all year long. And so this is another weight where I'd say Oklahoma State is definitely the favorite here, but Ben Keeter's a wild card in this matchup. And coming off that loss, that loss to Heinzelman, maybe he's on a little bit of a downswing. I don't know, but it's a good opportunity for him to turn it around and get back on the winning side. So as you go through these matchups, it's really hard to get a strong feeling. I think there's going to be upsets in this duel. There are basically every time these two teams wrestle. I think it's going to be really exciting, really intense environment. Oklahoma State has been so fun to watch, not just because they're back and they're winning, but they brought an exciting style, and they're winning a lot of different ways. You got a lot of different styles on the mat. You've got Olenek, who's really good on top and quick strikes. You've got someone like Troy Spratley, who's in every match and always fighting. Tagging Jameson's really tough. And, of course, you've got the leader of the pack, Dayton Fix. And you think about 33, who does Iowa throw out there? I've been curious about this. It's for Iowa, I can't remember a time there was this many lineup questions this close to the conference tournament, where I don't know who their entry is going to be at 33. I don't know who it's going to be at 84, and I don't know who it's going to be at heavyweight. Now, maybe those are already locked. Maybe they're already saying, hey, it's going to be Cullen, it's going to be Aiden, it's going to be Bradley Hill. But I don't know. And they used Brody Teske last week. So the question, was that an obligatory senior night gesture, or are they considering him? either way, I don't know who you use. I think Cullen may be better in terms of preserving bonus points, which Dayton Fix is absolutely going to be striving for in this match. So we've seen Brody I think he got majored or nearly majored by Van D. He was beaten soundly by Evan Frost, and he struggled from the bottom position. He was getting turned. And don't think that Dayton Fix doesn't know that. So I think it's going to be a thriller. I think Iowa is favored in more matches, but it doesn't take but one of those to flip, and for Oklahoma State to hold pat at the matches where they're favored for them to win it. So it's going to be a great duel. Highly encourage you guys to tune in if you're able. I think it's on ESPN at 2 Central, so that's whatever time it is where you live. But thanks for tuning in. I'm so glad that we have this rivalry, right? I'm so glad that we have Iowa versus Oklahoma State. I'm so glad that both teams are really having solid season, that Oklahoma State's back, and I think, a lot of credit is being given to, you talk to the wrestlers, like, man, Coleman has come in and really made a difference here. So a great move by Coach Smith to bring in Coleman, and excited to see how this duel plays out and the rest of their season. So let me know, what are you thinking about? What are the big matches? What's your prediction? Do you got the Hawks, the Cowboys? Who's going to win? Any upsets? Put them in the comments below. Thanks for watching.